Now, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, when you first had this script, when this was first muted, what was your kind of reaction to this?
Oh, I had no reaction at all because it was upstairs at the Royal Court in the 60-seat theatre. And what was I doing? Oh, unbeknown to me, Richard O'Brien had seen me in several things, but he never let on till about a couple of years ago. Can you believe that? And that Jim Sharman had seen me in the Threepenny Opera. I was in the Threepenny Opera with Tony Richardson directing on the West End. I'd done a lot, you know. So Rocky Horror, and my agent wasn't too keen about it because there's no money upstairs at the Royal Court Theatre. And he rang me and said, there's a musical or something. He said, I don't know, it's about a circus or something. I'm not sure what it is, but it's just upstairs and, there's no money. Because it's 17 quid a week. I said, well, okay. He said, so if you could, they want you to sing like a rock and roll song, like a Paul Anka song or something. And I said, well, don't do that. Because at school I was playing Maria from West Side Story. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of singing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a rock and roller. So I went for my audition, and these guys were standing there, and I took a look at them, and they looked quite amazing to me. It's not usually what you find, you know. It's not Peter Hall's in a suit. And anyway, so there they were, and Richard with his hair and his teddy boy coats and his tight jeans and whatever. Jim Sharman, Australian director, and he just directed Jesus Christ Superstar, and he'd done that in Australia. He came over and did it for Stigwood in London, so it was a great success. So Richard Brown was in it, understudying Herod, and then he went on as Herod, but unfortunately got the sack because they didn't like his Herod. And that's when he said to Jim, I've got this little musical. Would you be interested in this? Because he was out of work and bored and writing. The first song he wrote was science fiction, but it wasn't for a play or anything. It was for a. It was just like a cabaret song.
Obviously, as well as the creator Richard O'Brien, Jim Sharman was key in the Rocky Horror Picture Show story. Tell us about the staging of that first show.
Sharman then went to the Royal Court and said to Oscar Lowenstein, who was running it, he said, I'm Jim Sharman and I'd like to work here. And he thought, oh, really? And who are you? He said, well, I'm Jim Sharman. I've just directed Jesus Christ Superstar. And he said, really? What would you like to do? And he said, well, first I want to do a Sam Shepard play, The Unseen Hand, and then I want to do this little musical. And that's how that happened.
Now, what did you have to do in that audition? What was your audition?
Yes, well, I had to sing. So, as I said, Richard Hartley's the MD, and he had the big fuzzy hair like me. So we're talking 1973. I sang, I said, I'm going to sing a Jesse Matthews song. Over my shoulder goes one cap, which had nothing to do with anything because it's the 1930s. La. Over my shoulder goes one cap. And so I sang that for them, and they said, well, have you got your sheet music? And I said, no, 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 the piano puts me off. Sorry, I can't sing with the piano. So they thought, oh, what have we got here? What's she going to do? So I did I was a prisoner locked in jail. And they all thought, They said, but which was perfect for not Magenta, but the usherette, who's this wonderful naive who dreams of B-movies and with her lollipop tray and her ice cream tray, and it's rather like a Jessie Matthews, really.
Yeah.
So Richard then said, would you like to just sit down for a minute? I'm going to play this song to you, which was science fiction. Michael Rennie he said, could you sing along with me if you can, or hum it even. I said, okay. Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still. And I thought, oh. I got so excited, and I left there, and I did to go skipping down the King's Road, and I thought, I want that. I so want to do this. And half an hour later, they rang me and said I'd got the part. And then my agent said, but you haven't read it yet. You haven't seen the script. I said, I don't care. I heard the song. And he said, go and get the script, because you do, pick up your own scripts from the stage door. And Magenta was on stage 4 lines. People get it down to 4 words. I mean, on screen, Magenta's a much bigger role because she has so much coverage, But on stage, she does a lot of hanging about and the time warp occasionally, you know. And the chorus for There's a Light over at the Frankenstein Place. So after 3 weeks, I'd had enough. I was a bit bored. And then Michael White said, please, would you stay on another 5 weeks? I said, I can't afford to. 17 quid a week. I can't stay on another, that's 5 weeks at this. He said, yes, but I'm going to find another theatre. We're going to move this. This is going to move.
Well, looking back, it would have to move. I mean, it's amazing to think that it opened in a theatre with only 63 seats. So where did it move to?
We kept changing cinemas into theatres, which was an extraordinary thing to do, because we moved down to the Chelsea Classic, which was up for demolition. And our set, actually, the real set for the play, was scaffolding. It was about a broken down cinema. You see, because that was the
It was perfect
conception. It was
then to go to
perfect.
the Celtic.
So when people went to the Classic, they thought we were holding the roof up. But it wasn't. It was our set.
You opened the show singing science fiction, and then we were in a totally different universe. It's been described as a fast-paced cocktail of camp, sci-fi, and rock and roll. We are in the lure of the unforgettable transvestite vampire Dr. Frankenfurter. But I was wondering, what was the reaction to the show at the time, those early shows?
It was so controversial. I mean, don't dream of Beat in 1973 when homosexuality was still, arresting offense, and for us to be up there doing this. And like there's been many theses written about this, and Richard quite often goes into La La Land about the little child in the child inside and whatever, whatever, whatever. Probably was. But the point is, I just knew we were doing sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's what we were doing, and we were having a great time. And if there was a message, great.
The Rocky Horror Show becomes the Rocky Horror Picture Show, a low-budget film, a film made in 1975. Now, it was low budget, but there were some big names interested in it.
Bowie and Jagger both wanted to play Frank in the movie, and Sharman insisted on his cast. So the budget would have gone up, but he wanted Curry. And of course he was right, because nobody was going to beat that. But they all came to see it.
What a big decision that was, but what a brave decision.
Fantastic.
You
And
know,
he
to
wanted
stick,
me.
yeah, to stick with you and to
And
stick
now.
with Tim Curry.
So the only thing he'd to give in to was two Americans, because Meatloaf had already done it on the LA on the stage at the Roxy. Because Lou Adler, the producer of the film and Fox, Lou Adler owns the Roxy and he's A&M Records. And so he brought the show over to Los Angeles. And then Tim Curry knew Susan Sarandon and he said, why don't you come and see this? Because they're making a film and you could be Janet. And I think that she'd never sung before. I don't think she'd made a film before, really. And she came to, and then when Meatloaf went to audition for it, Tim Curry hadn't got off the plane yet. He hadn't arrived. And Meatloaf went to audition and he sang Hot Patootie and Dr. Scott's song. And then he was told he had to wear fishnets and garters. And he says, I'm out of here. I ain't doing that. I'm out of here. And he went running off down the road. So we were like a family. And that's also why the film works. And mainly, as O'Brien pointed out, Curry had been doing that on stage for nearly 2 years. So by the time he got to the film, he said the monster had got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Now, as we know, you opened the stage show singing science fiction double feature, and then the movie comes along, and you're in the movie, but you're no longer singing the song. Now, tell me how you found out about that.
Well, the point was that I was asked about doing the film, and they took me to lunch at the Ark, a restaurant in South Kensington, and John Goldstone, a co-producer who lived round the corner, he was there, and Jim Sharman. So they said, so, well, here's our idea, but we want to make a movie of Rocky Horror. And then I said, and what am I doing? And what about the usherette? And they said, well, we can't use that in the film, it wouldn't work. And I said, well, then does that mean I'm not singing science fiction? And they said, well, no, you're not. And I said, well, then I'm not doing your movie, I'm sorry. And they said, well, just a minute, hold on, hold on, hold on. I said, no, if I can't do that. They said, well, it was Richard O'Brien said to me, Pat, you should always say no after lunch, not during. That was quite good. And they said, let's go round to John Goldstone's house, round the corner now, and we want to show you all the models of the sets, all the new costume designs, and they were all there in his home. So there was the pink laboratory, everything opened up, the idea of the Transylvanians, which we didn't have, motorbikes, da 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 da. So I looked at this amazing idea because we were just on a little bit of carpet doing a show. And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Right, I'm doing it." So, right, that's easy. Change my mind.
You've changed your mind. You're in the film. You're in the movie. So, what do you remember about the making of it?
Alan Ladd Jr. had just taken over at 20th Century, and he tried to stop it. We'd just begun. It was going, we were rolling, we were at Ray Studios, which is the old Hammer Studios. They did everything to stop it because they thought, we don't want this. I mean, what is this? Which they were right. Nobody knew what it was. But the point is, we were doing it, and it went on. In the car going down to Bray, I'm sitting between Richard and Tim. Tim said, "Oh, by the way, Richard, who is singing science fiction?" And Richard said, "I am." And I did say, "You bastard." Sorry. I said, I'm allowed to say that. And I said, "You stole my song. You've taken my song." And he said, "Well, they asked me to do it." And on the first day, the first shoot, the first day was the church in the field. And over the field came, I don't know why that was played over that scene, but at the beginning they played science fiction. Maybe it was a timing thing. And Richard said, "Listen to that voice." I thought, I'm going to kill you with this pitchfork. Seriously, the outrage of it. So that was it. That was forgotten. I went on with everything. And on the last day, it was a wrap, finish, stop. And then Jim Sharman said, "Have you seen the lips, the Man Ray lips, a disembodied mouth, like in the sky?" Well, there's been many interpretations of that. And the one in the Man Ray book is a black and white, it's a photograph. It's this wonderful lips in black and white over Paris. And it's stunning. And it's his wife's mouth. And he said, "So I've got this idea where you could have this disembodied mouth, and if we could use your mouth." I thought, "You want my mouth?" And of course, I knew how to sing the song because I know it. And he said, "Yes, I think it'd be great." And I know it sounds outrageous, but I did. I said, "My mouth," and his voice was furious. And then I said, "How much?" Well, there was nothing left in the budget. I didn't even get a penny for that mouth. And I'd moved on to a West End play called Murderer by Tony Shaffer, so I wasn't really worried too much about the money. And I ended up at Elstree Studios on my own. It was very sad. I was the only person filming at Elstree. And so what they did was they blacked up my face with black makeup. And then they painted the mouth. But then my head kept moving, because you're... So they said, "Would you take that arc lamp out of that and clamp her head?" So they clamped me in, and so I was like Frankenstein's monster. So I didn't move, you understand?
Yeah.
So, and that was the lips.
I find that incredible. I really do. I find it incredible. Your lips would go on to become the iconic image of the era, would define a generation, and the film would become the greatest cult film of all time.
It's awful to keep talking about money, but sorry, somebody made money,
Yes.
and the whole thing about the film was they couldn't give it away, they couldn't do anything. A whiz kid guy at 20th Century had the idea to put it on all the campuses across America and to put it on as a midnight show. And that's how Rocky Horror,
A huge success,
yes,
yeah.
but marketed. And that was brilliant because nobody understood what to do with it. But then they started turning up, and the queues, and people thought, what are they dressed up? What's going on? And it was amazing because I've just been in Atlanta, Georgia, and in New Jersey at the Chiller Convention. And people have turned up there from 78 because that's when the Waverley and Greenwich Village and all were doing it and dressing up as us and talking to it and everything. So we got word that that was happening. They said, "You know what's happening to your film?" But no, I thought it was crazy. And they flew us out for that.
Now, you've done Rocky Horror events all over the world.
Mm,
Last night you were back in Belfast, you were
mm.
doing an event in the hometown. So what was that like being back here?
Well, it was very emotional. And I had an interview for Ulster Television the other day, and she said to me, I think she said, "Do you miss Belfast?" And I thought, no. And I thought, oh God, I can't say that. Sorry, Belfast. I mean, I'll be thrown out in the streets.
No, we miss you. That's
Oh
the
no,
thing.
no, no.
Even if you don't miss
No, I
us.
do. I'm beginning to miss you dreadfully. I think I'm returning. Even though you're getting rid of me now. And then I'd forgotten how wonderful the Belfast people are. I really, truly been overwhelmed by the whole thing. Also, it's like a Bob Geldof thing. You sort of make out that he made out, you go on to things, and the Irish are like, she thinks she's got above herself, and that posh voice, and who does she think she is, and it's a bit snooty, or you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Success.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
We don't like success.
No.
We like to cut down tall poppies and
Isn't
all
it?
that.
I know. Well, I'm glad you said it
Yeah.
because I'm saying it
But
too.
I think we're changing. I
Thank
think we are
God.
changing. I think we're celebrating success now.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. I think we're thinking, let's stop that. Let's actually celebrate the people who have went away from here and done amazing things. Let's bring them back
Oh, you
and
sent shivers down my
make this
spine.
place better
God,
and inspire a new generation to do what you did.
isn't it wonderful? And when I watched it last night at the Belfast Film Festival, for the first time my life actually was completely detached from the film. I can't explain it. It was a different experience for me watching it. So I really was watching Carrie. He's amazing. All of them, actually. It's the first time I've looked at it like that. I think usually I'm looking at myself. Don't tell anyone that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was extraordinary. And it was extraordinary to be in my hometown to do this.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to
It's
talk to you.
been a pleasure to talk.